like Derek mentioned, right now the new gradebook is optional, but in the summer it will no longer be optional. So I would really encourage all of you to go ahead and start using it this semester just so you can get used to it. So in my test course, I have set up a fake gradebook. I've added staff as students and entered some fake grades. Canvas had this ready to go in the fall, and so I actually piloted the new gradebook in an actual course I was teaching. So far I'm the only one who's used it, but from my experience, you know, the functionality of course didn't change. It just looks a little different, and they've added a lot of really nice features. So I will walk you through those features. First, I'll show you how to enable the new gradebook. So you can do that now on a course if you'd like. If you want to wait until you've seen what features it has and then do it later, that's fine. But when you're in your course, you'll click on Settings, and then you'll click on Feature Options, and there's a toggle switch right here. I already have it turned on in this course. I can turn it off or turn it back on. A note about the settings link. I know Derek showed you the navigation. The settings in Canvas is kind of an all or nothing feature. There are some settings that we like instructors to have access to, such as the navigation. There are some that we really wish we could hide. So just be careful. When you go to the settings link, please don't just start playing with things in there. And especially with feature options, turning things off and on could really have a big effect on your courses. So when you go to feature options, please only focus on the new gradebook. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that back on and then go back into the gradebook.
Is that for just that class, or does that?
Yeah, it's just the class. So if you want to use the new gradebook in all of your classes, you would have to go turn it on in each of your classes. Good question. A lot of the options, the menus have changed to over here in the top left corner. So if you click on Gradebook, this is where you'll find the individual view. You can use this to look at a specific student's assignments and submissions. We honestly don't use this much. I don't know if any instructors do, but it's there. If you ever do use that to get back to the normal gradebook, up here in the top right corner, you would use this drop-down menu and go back to Gradebook. Another feature under the Gradebook menu is Gradebook History, and they've updated this, and it's really nice. I don't know if you've used the old Gradebook History, but this one functions a lot more smoothly. So you can see here basically all the grade changes I've made in the gradebook. So it tells you what the grade was before, if I made any changes, and what it is after I made changes. And you can filter it. So let's say I want to filter by John Student, and then I have to actually click the filter button over here on the right, but then I can only look at the changes made for John Student. And you'll see I did change one of his grades. It was for the Albert Einstein reflection. He had a 47, and then I changed it to a 42. And it tells the date and time that the change was made and who made the change. Some instructors, or some classes have multiple instructors, like our nursing classes especially. So if that's the case, it easily tells you here who made that grade change. I'm going to click on grades to get back to the gradebook from there. Yeah.
If you started using this say mid-semester, would it make any difference? If you turn it off and on during the course of the semester, does it make any difference, or does it?
There's only one thing that makes a difference in whether you can switch it on and off, and it's up here in the top right corner. There's this cog, and there's these late policies and late or missing submission and late policy settings. If you make those settings enabled basically in your course, if you use this feature, then you would not be able to revert back to the old gradebook.
I think it would be safe to say you can turn it on at any point, but you can't necessarily turn it off at any point.
If you have never used this feature, you can always go back to the old gradebook. But if you do use this feature, it's important that you set it up at the very beginning of the semester, because it will not retroactively change your grades. So I'll just go ahead and talk about these features since I'm already in there. There's two separate functions in this box. One is late policies. You have to select this box if you want to enable that feature. But basically, you can tell it if there is a missing submission, give it this grade. So a student hasn't turned in an assignment, I'm going to put 0%. And so for any missing submission, it's always going to automatically put it at 0%. And you can set that anywhere between 0 and 100%. I don't know why you would give credit for a missing submission, but you can. And then the second one is you can tell it to deduct a certain percentage for late submissions. So I'm going to tell it I want it to deduct 10% for each day that the assignment is late. And you can choose day or hour for how late the assignment is. And then you can also tell the lowest possible grade. So I'll say I don't want it to actually go below 50%. So like I said, this is the part where if you set this up, first of all, you want to do it at the beginning of the semester. And secondly, if you do use this, you cannot go back to the old gradebook. I'm going to cancel this. Back to the menus over here on the left, I'm going to look under the view menu, and this is really where most of the features are. There are arrange by options, which there were in the old gradebook, but there are a lot more options here. So you can arrange your gradebook by assignment name, due date, newest to oldest, oldest to newest, points, module, and of course that will just automatically shift the order of the assignments here. You can now filter your gradebook, and I actually already have these selected. This is kind of a two-step process, so I'm going to deselect these for now. So the first thing you have to do is actually select which filter you want to use. So I'll do assignment groups, and you may have noticed right here a drop-down menu popped up. So I'm also going to select filter by modules as well. So now the second step would be to tell it how I want to filter. So if I want to filter by just the quizzes assignment group, I would select quizzes, and now it's only showing me the quizzes in the course. If I want to filter by modules, I'll filter by just the Get Started module, and now only the assignments in the Get Started module are going to show in my gradebook. There is only one thing I don't love about the new gradebook, and it's this, because it fooled me, and it might fool you, but a cool part of it is the new gradebook has view persistence. So when you leave the gradebook and then you go back into it the next day, it's going to look exactly the same as when you left the gradebook. The problem with this feature is if you forget to unfilter and you go back into your gradebook and half of your assignments are missing, you freak out. And like I said, I fell for it in my class. So make sure if you filter that you unfilter, and you have to do that using these drop-down menus. So I would just go back to all modules. If you leave it filtered over here, say I filter by Get Started, and I come back over here and I just uncheck these, it doesn't undo it. I have to actually undo it using the drop-down menu. So the view persistence is really handy. I really like that the gradebook looks exactly the same when you leave it and then go back in, but the filtering can kind of trip people up. So just something to be aware of. The statuses is another really cool feature. You can choose your own colors, and up there you can't see the colors at all, but I have chosen yellow. It's kind of a pale yellow for late assignments, an orange for missing, green for resubmitted. I have kind of a beige for dropped, and a light blue for excused. And you can select the colors you want by clicking on those three dots and just choosing whatever color you want. Those are specific to the person, not to the course. So if you're teaching a course that has multiple instructors and you choose a certain set of colors and the other instructor chooses a certain set of colors, they'll stay separate. The colors you choose aren't going to change the other person's colors. And also that means that your colors are going to stick with you in all of your courses. Back to the view menu, you can also choose a couple of extra columns to add to the gradebook. So one is notes, and if you select the notes column, it will show up right here to the right of the student name column, and you just click in there and make your comment. And then you can always hide that again if you want to. You can also show unpublished assignments. I purposely unpublished one assignment in this course, and it's the composer dates. You can't see it up there because of the color, but that entire column is grayed out. And I can't even click in there. I can't type anything in there because it's an unpublished assignment. Moving on to the actions, this is where you would import and export a gradebook. So if you're in the habit of exporting your gradebook to an Excel spreadsheet, this is where you would do that. So in the gradebook, in the student name column, we have a lot of sorting options here as well. So you can sort by students A to Z or Z to A. You can choose whether you want to display names as first name, last name, or last name, first name. And then the secondary info, you can choose if you want to show the student's SIS ID or if you want to show their login ID, which would be their, for students, 3 initials and then the 4-digit number. Or you can choose not to show any secondary info at all. And I don't know if you saw that, but it was appearing right below the names here. And then you can also choose whether you want to show or hide inactive and concluded students. So I don't have any inactive students in here, but I have a concluded student. So when I select that, that student appears and then it has that concluded tag right by the name. And then I can always hide that again. In the assignment columns, again, you have options there. You can sort by grade, missing, late. This is where all of those features that you're probably used to from the old gradebook, the message students who, the curve grades, mute assignments, set default grade, those are all in that section. And then you can also choose here whether you want the grades to show as points or percentage. And you can always toggle back and forth between those. And then on the category columns here, or the total columns, you can sort by grade low to high or high to low. And another really awesome feature that's new is you can drag and drop these anywhere you want to rearrange your gradebook. So I have my quizzes over here. I'm going to drag my quizzes column over there to the right. Then I have my discussions. I'm going to put my discussions column there. And then I have an assignment, and I'll leave the assignments column there. And you can drag and drop any part of the gradebook. So even the assignments, you can still drag and drop those as well. And then the total column has a really handy new button. You can just choose to move it to the front. So I'm going to do that, and then the total column will be right here by student names. I know, I was really happy about that too, Dion. Yeah. And since this has view persistence, now I can just leave it there. But if I wanted to move it back, I would click on that, and there's a move to end button. You may have noticed when I was clicking in here earlier, when you click on the cells to enter grades, there's what they call crosshairs. So you'll see this column and this row are kind of highlighted, and this cell has a really big, bold outline around it. And that just helps you better see what grade or what student you're working on at the time. And then, I don't know if you can see it up there, but this little icon is just a box with an arrow in it. If you click on that, that brings up the student's context card. So you can click on the student, you can go directly to SpeedGrader, you can change their grade there, you can change whether it's late or missing or whatever, and it did change the color of the cell over here. You just can't see it. That really covers all the new features. Like I said, the functionality, of course, is just about the same, but they've just added a lot of enhancements.